The way we look at the process and where we source our ingredients from and where we distribute to is how we would describe our sustainable ethos and our sustainable practice. We set up the brewery deliberately in a very rural location. It doesn't get much more rural than this. It fits with me as a food producer, as a brewer, to be in a beautiful part of the country. I don't want to see it destroyed. We wanted to source all our barley locally, so we got the farm here to do a deal with the maltings in Warminster, which is 10 miles up the road. And now that the barley that we brew with is grown on the farm, taken to Warminster to be malted, and then comes back here to be brewed with, a round trip of 20 miles. All of our water comes out of a borehole just up the road, and that's the major ingredients of the beer, all grown and sourced as locally as possible. And once we've made our beer, we try to distribute it as locally as possible, keep the miles down. We have a 30-odd mile radius around the brewery where we deliver. If we want to get our beers any further afield than that, we do deals with other small brewers where our distribution areas overlap, and we'll take their beers further off into our distribution area on trips our van would be going to anyway, and they do the same with our beer without actually adding any extra miles to its distribution. It's a lot of common sense in the sustainability idea. Each time you transport your beer another mile down the road, you're eating into its profit margin anyway. So, from a business point of view, it makes sense not to transport it too far. But what you need to do is really develop your local market that can keep you going. And the great thing about the explosion in the number of small breweries is that actually you get huge amounts of choice with local beers without having to get that choice travelling in from great distances elsewhere. We also like to use the word sustainable in terms of the local economy and how to keep the money which is earned locally in the local economy without it disappearing off too much to the taxman or intermediaries or wholesalers further along the line. If you take the example of somebody who works on the farm, if he buys a pint of my beer in a local pub, the money goes from him to the pub, from the pub to me in the brewery. I pay the maltings. The maltings pays the farm for the barley, and as few as possible steps in between where people can pay a margin to somebody else who's outside that loop, and that keeps as much money in the local economy as you can. Beer has a very short shelf life, and it does not like being sat around in depots or on the back of a lorry in a traffic jam during the summer. Beer is best drunk fresh, with sort of a fast turnover in the pub, so that the cask of beer which is put up on Monday is finished on Tuesday. The beer leaves my cold room, goes onto my van, goes no more than 30 miles and goes into the pub cellar. And in the case of our own pub, it's 3 miles that it travels, and we look at the pubs closest to the brewery that we supply. They just get the beer. It's as fresh as it possibly could be, without any opportunity to do any injury to it en route. With our local water supply, our local barley and our English hops, we can hand on heart say that our beer has a local character.